Because I like them. It hurt me real bad. It makes me cry.
So if you want to know why Happy Birthday still isn't in the public domain, it's because after Walt Disney died, the Walt Disney Corporation asked the President of the United States to give them the most magical birthday gift of all.
Finally, there was a distinguished visitor at the White House today. This fellow received a rather special welcome. And why not? He is the most famous mouse in the history of mousekind. So he pranced through the East Room today. There was even a stirring rendition of the old Mouseketeer Club song.
In 1998, on Mickey's 60th birthday, copyright law was rewritten to give the Disney Empire control of the mouse indefinitely. Copyright terms were extended to the life of the author plus 70 years. Corporations got 95 years, more than quadrupling the original 14-year term of U.S. copyright. And it wasn't just Mickey. Everything that was supposed to be free to remix was now locked up. So today, if you want to make art from the public domain, you'll have to settle for works created before 1923. So here we have the best example of points 1 and 2. Walt Disney built on the past, then he died, and the Walt Disney Corporation changed the law so that no one else could do it again. Nowadays, if you want to be a mashup artist like Walt Disney, you've got to work outside the law.
We used to always do Hall & Oates. That was our favorite group, and Greg, he always liked Hall & Oates too. And I saw one interview in one of the articles, and they said, "How do you keep it real?" And Greg said, "I put Hall & Oates on every one of my albums." So we thought that was nice.
Well, there's me with my shirt off in high school at a joystick show.
Oh,
so there you go.
That's way back. I told him keep this shirt on.
I told him keep this shirt on too.
Yes. Okay,
The shirt's not bad. It's keep the pants on.
Sometimes it gets hot up there.
Yeah.
It loosens people up. You know, they feel good and comfortable.
But again, Greg, like we said before, we think you're talented enough that why do you have to take your pants off?
I seriously say that all the time.
I don't do it all the time. I take my shirt off when it's hot, and most of the time when my pants come off, it's because people ripped it off, and I can't be this guy conducting this party and have my pants taken off and then me, hiking them back up. And other people take their clothes off too. It's just, it's that sort of environment.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I think he's talented and very creative, but there's always that concern with the copyright. So I think
Why'd you have to go there?
I'm sorry.
After here?
After I said that, I thought, oh.
We're afraid he may land in jail or get sued or something along those lines because, we know what he does. Supposedly it's copyright infringement, so, we're waiting for the shoe to drop. It hasn't, but, we're concerned.
Everyone's just going to keep getting more and more extreme with protecting their own ideas. And, I think eventually everyone's going to realize that it's beneficial to share ideas.
Well, that's the hope. Although the past is doing a pretty good job of controlling the future. But remixers are fighting back.
He was a little dog named Snuggles, but he was most certain...
Before I'd ever heard of Girl Talk, my remix heroes were Negative Land, professional shit disturbers who were sued for remixing U2.
That's the letter U and the numeral 2. The four-man band features Adam Clayton on bass, Larry Mullen on drums, Dave Evans, nicknamed Pete Hedge, on keys. This is bullshit. Nobody cares. These guys are from England, and who gives a shit? Just a lot of wasted names.
More accurately, they were sued by U2's label, Island Records, for mixing the band with Casey Kasem.
While we were on tour, I was handed a tape by someone at the show, and this is a tape recording of top 40 disc jockey Casey Kasem having a really bad day in the studio.
And I got to tell you, when I first heard him, it blew me away. And it still does today, every time I listen to the tape.
About 10 days after the single came out, a 180-page lawsuit landed on our doorstep.
This is American Top 40, right here on the radio station, Music Radio 138.
Are we supposed to say certain things are off limits to making art? Is art off limits? Is other people's art off limits, to to making art? That doesn't make any sense. That's just silly. That's just some business guy's way of thinking.
See if that's true.
All the way up to 6.
Negativland coined a phrase to describe their take on remixing. They called it culture jamming. They wanted to use the modern media against itself, to critique the power it has over our lives.
I'll kill the next man who speaks. Gosh, what a...
The corporations are completely taking over our culture and telling us that we can only consume it. And we're saying no. We're saying we want to actually create with it, respond to it, take it, mutilate it, cut it up. We're saying, you don't ask us whether I want to have a billboard everywhere I go in my town. You don't ask me if I want to see your Nike logo everywhere I go. You don't ask me if I want to hear YouTube's music everywhere I go shopping or when I eat in a restaurant. So why do I need to ask you to take a little bit of it and make something out of it and make fun of you, critique you? Why do I need to ask?
Well, the culture jammers, mouse warriors, and remixers of the world are up against one of the most powerful industries on Earth, big media. Once comprised of countless movie studios and record companies, 6 Hollywood studios and 4 major record labels now control Hollywood. And these companies are owned by even bigger companies. Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, News Corp, BMG, and General Electric own more than 90% of media holdings in the United States. All these companies are represented by 2 lobby groups, the Recording Industry Association of America and the Motion Picture Association of America. Like it or not, this is who owns and controls our culture. Their primary goal is to preserve the business model that made these corporations rich, even if it means convincing governments to halt the flow of new ideas, new technology, or better business models. But as powerful as these groups are, there is one thing that threatens their very existence. Yes, along with China and Russia, my home and native land was singled out as one of the world's worst pirate nations, and they sent their cops after us.
Jackie and I are on a mission to stop piracy. You must stop piracy. That's terminated.
It started when Arnie came to talk with Prime Minister Steve about an international crisis. People making bootleg DVDs with their camcorders.
Jerseys. With the government, we would like to discuss environment, trade, camcording that I talk about.
Certainly there's a lobby, there's a concerted corporate lobby to make us appear as though we are somehow derelict in our international duties if we don't enact whatever the industry lobby throws on our desk and says, this is our wish list, you must make it happen.
The wish list for Canada was simple: lock up culture. Which brings us to point 3. Our future is becoming less free. The thin edge of this wedge is technology known as digital rights management. Using this technology, the record and movie companies can prevent you from copying CDs, DVDs, and files to your computer. Rather than letting the law decide what you can and can't do, now some corporate software will decide for you.
I just call it the urinary tract infection business model. Right? It used to be that, like with a DVD, with a CD or with other media, all the uses of it flowed freely and easily. But with the new regime for DRM, every new use flows in a small, painful, spurting drip. Right? Every time you press a button on your remote, that's another 3 cents out of your pocket for the new rewinding right, and the new pausing right, and the new, watching this in your minivan right.
And free speech isn't in this Bill of Rights. So forget fair use. That's forbidden now. The only way I can make a mashup movie is to use software that breaks the locks put on these movies. But under Canada's proposed laws, that's a $20,000 infringement. I've done a lot of that. And I